Many faculty and consultants are strong proponents of experiential methods. Experiential methods, they say, are more powerful because they get out of what I would call level 2, the cognitive realm, and into level 3, the experiential realm, where your values, assumptions, beliefs, and expectations about the way the world works are being challenged. Challenged in perhaps at all 3 levels, including level 1, visible behavior, where your actions are affecting your thinking, are affecting your assumptions, and the interaction between those 3 levels comes to the fore. Well, there are some principles about experiential methods that you might want to take into account. The idea here is that we want to be actively involved in concepts rather than talking about them. So for those of you who have some familiarity with neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, NLP folks used to talk about there are visual learners, there are audio learners, and there are kinesthetic learners. So for the kinesthetic learners, people who want to be physically actively engaged in learning, experiential methods tends to be the best channel for reaching them. They don't want to sit, they don't want to talk, they don't want to listen, they don't want to just observe, they want to actually be involved in the process. So you've probably seen a variety of ways that this is done. Ropes courses, low ropes courses where there's no real physical threat involved. We go out into a lawn or to a meadow or someplace and we do little challenges that have cognitive issues to them on the ground. So low course events might include nuclear waste, for example, where there's a circle and you can't go inside the circle because it's radioactive. You've got an upside down bucket with maybe a koosh ball on top of the bucket. You've got a bunch of bungee cords, and your task is how can we move that bucket, including the nuclear waste, the koosh ball, from one part of the circle to another, or maybe even out of the circle to another area without dropping it. So this could be ways of teaching, building teams, of enhancing communication, of strategizing in advance of the typical North American philosophy of fire, 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 ready, aim, the ADD approach to management, if you will. There are also high ropes courses where people will be invited to go up 30, 40, 50 feet in the air with a harness on. There are a variety of these events, from dangling vines to jumping off of poles to tightrope walking to traversing a Burmese bridge with 3 wires. And here what we're trying to do is bring the emotional as well as the physical into the educational setting. There are some issues with experiential methods. Sometimes you'll see people building rafts to float across, I've heard, Tampa Bay. Sometimes before dinner, I've had clients who will organize treasure hunts, so on the way to the restaurant, they have to follow a map and collect a series of items. These can be planned events for a part of an educational experience, and there are a lot of companies out there who specialize in experiential methods. You can do some things in the classroom that are experiential as well. Whenever you get students up and out of their seats, moving around, organizational maze is one of those that can be done relatively simply near or inside the classroom. You can do other kinds of diversity experimental issues by moving around the room. So one of those, for example, is Star Power. That involves 3 classes in a society, and they're trading to try to change their socioeconomic status. I've mentioned the organizational maze. There are a number of these relatively simple but near the classroom events that create a experiential experience. Now, some of the problems that people will mention with experiential exercises is Yeah, it was a lot of fun, it was entertaining, we got up, we moved around, but where's the beef? What did we really learn from that? And experiential method facilitators vary widely in their ability to bring out what people learn. Frequently it will have to do with planning before you try. So do a little strategic thinking before you start wasting time and resource on just the first thought that came into your head. Consensus building, building teams, working together. Sometimes experiential methods will be community service projects where people go out and refurbish homes or build homes or clean up streets or help people who are in need as a way of bringing together a set of cohesion and purpose to the workplace environment. So experiential methods are a powerful tool. They sometimes require significant setup, but they don't have to. There are a number of companies out there who sell them and offer them and provide them in all regions. And the mix with which you choose to employ methodology in your course might very well include some experiential components. I've known people who've tried to have a whole course based on experiential methods only, and my concern there would be, are the lessons that we really want to convey related to what their students are going to be doing in their careers, or is this a reaction to the instructor's preference? So one of the big issues for me in teaching, in facilitating learning is it my favorite approach that I'm using, or am I using a mixture of approaches or methodologies that will facilitate learning in this diverse group of students or participants that I'm working with? I would prefer to focus on the latter. And so what I imagine is a mixture of methodologies, not to the exclusion of others because one happens to be your favorite. Experiential methods can be very powerful. I invite you to consider putting them in your educational toolkit.